Hey there, beautiful souls. How are we doing out there? I wanted to give you a bit of an energy update as to what I see and feel coming through. I'll give you the science, the soul perspective on it, and how you may well be experiencing it in yourself through your body, through your relationships, through your experiences, and really how to helpfully navigate this with a little bit more ease and grace. Let's start off. We are going from a cyclical perspective, from the earth perspective as we move through the year. In the summer, midsummer, coming into autumn. And the body is actually looking into the heart. It's looking into the small intestine, how these two are working together. And what that is about discernment. Okay. This is about heart discernment. This is about what we allow in and what we release. And with that, we create a balance, we create homeostasis. When we can create a discernment, our truth, through our heart consciousness, we can discern what is pure and what is aligned and what is not. We can also discern what is ours and what is not. Okay. Which takes me on to responsibility. So responsibility can be quite a loaded word in terms of what we think that means. So responsibility is actually the ability to respond on an individual perspective. It's your own capacity to be able to make those decisions to respond to a present situation. However, responsibility can get taken kind of both ways in terms of one, you may be a person that takes on too much responsibility. You take on the burden. You take on the belief that you're responsible for other people's actions. You basically absorb a lot, which isn't for you to take on. So when you do that energetically, what your body is holding on to something that it cannot process. It cannot process because it's not yours to process. So it will sit in your heart, it will sit in your solar plexus, in your large and your small intestine. It will sit in your digestive system. So if you have a tendency to have a lot of IBS or bloatedness or stomach issues, indigestion, your question will be asking, are you taking on emotionally and energetically too much on what is not yours, which we all have a tendency to do because we don't have or have not really ever been shown healthy boundaries. So if you identify yourself as an empath, someone that's very in tune to other people's emotions, you will probably be taking on far too much responsibility and emotions that are not yours to take. So instantly as I'm talking this, I'm feeling allergies, okay? There is a reaction, there's an inflammation in your body that it is not comfortable with, that doesn't align with you, okay? So these are the messages of the body that we can really start to understand the language that it's trying to reconnect with us through the language of pain and disease. This is what I've written in my Love to Heal book. So if you're still listening to me and are interested, this is something that you can go and purchase from Amazon and literally start the journey of understanding yourself and your body and how to reconnect, and to know that your body is actually, it's a beautiful wisdom conscious tool that we need to consciously connect to and start to listen to the innate wisdom within us. Okay. So we've got heart. We need heart consciousness. We need to start to be able to listen to our hearts and the wisdom that's within, as well as the solar plexus, our innate wisdom, our gut health, and our gut, our inner gut. We know that gut feeling. We need to start listening to these centers of our bodies more than we are to up here, because our head will have us going round in circles. It's also been taught through our systems to be told what to think. You haven't been given the sovereignty or autonomy to think for yourself. It's never been promoted, because when you think for yourself, you question the system. Okay. And so this has been hugely conditioned out of people, that you just get told what you think. Or, there'd be a situation when children will keep asking, but why? But why? And if the answer that comes back is what it just is, then you know there's something flawed in the system. And this is when we need to start asking those questions. Is it serving us? Is it serving me to the highest good? Are we just accepting patterns and behaviors from people, from ourselves, in our workplace, in our relationships, in the governance, that really doesn't serve us? So this is really about awakening a deep, innate wisdom that has been long forgotten and long suppressed. And the greater we become disconnected from this, the more mental health and illness that we create. So with your gut biome is actually the bacteria that's within your gut is fundamental to your health. And the more glyphosate and all the different toxins that come in and disrupt this very key pathway called the Shimaki pathway, I get it confused with the mushrooms, but it's pretty much the same. That mycelium, this brain network of fungi and bacteria in our gut, we've damaged the soil, the more we're damaging our gut. And this is creating the disconnect that we have to Mother Earth, to this wisdom, to this balance, and to this homeostasis. And so this is what creates loneliness. This is what creates mental health issues. There's so many fundamental issues that affect our environment, generational trauma. There's so many things that influence our health. And in the process, if you think about the small intestine, it's about what we take in to nurture ourselves and what we must let go of. Okay, and so there's discernment and wisdom running between the heart and the solar plexus here in the small intestine. And so if we don't have this discernment, our bodies will keep building up with toxins. And the more toxic our bodies are, it reduces the oxygen, it creates oxidative stress, and our body starts to suffocate. It cannot get rid of the toxins to allow fresh oxygen in. Cancer is an anaerobic disease. It cannot survive if there's oxygen in the cell. It cannot be there. So we really need to be starting to look at the toxicity that we have within our heart, in terms of our feelings, our emotions, in terms of our environment, in terms of the stuff we're getting completely fed with, in terms of social media and, the main press, basically, which is a narrative that we are being fed to have to stay in and comply. So what happens in this discernment, this awakening of the heart and the small intestines, is we start questioning things. We start feeling that doesn't feel aligned to me, that doesn't feel right. And actually we start questioning. We question ourselves, hopefully in a objective way, not in a judgmental way. And we start to become more observant of ourselves. So we start looking at our belief systems and our patterns and conditioning that doesn't make us feel happy. If it's not love, joy, or peace, it's not our truth. Yet we're so conditioned to believe that we're separate, that we are other things, that we're not worthy, that humanity is bad, and that actually we're helpless and hopeless, this victim energy that keeps us small. So we are going through huge shifts, fundamental shifts. And the ultimate reason why we're going through this is so we become sovereign in ourselves, sovereign as souls, sovereign as beings, sovereign in our health. We are about reclaiming back our power. And to do that, we must, as we go full loop, take responsibility for ourselves. But we must take responsibility only for ourselves, for our thoughts and actions. And whether it's this lifetime, past lifetimes, wherever you are on this level of understanding yourself as an energetic being, because I will say this, an energetic being, energy cannot be destroyed, only transformed. You are in this finite moment of infinity as an energetic being. And so we can have many different lifetimes. If you're able to comprehend that, if you can't at the moment, that's okay. You can keep with the fact that you're actually carrying and have done things in your life. And also, if you can think about this, also generational trauma. That comes through the mitochondria, through the feminine line, through our mother lineage, okay? And women through with our ovaries as well. So what we have our imprint of our grandmother when we're in the womb of our mother, okay? So there's huge amounts of generational trauma if you think about what has happened to the feminine line, the abuse, the suppression. This is all within our DNA. And this is how it chooses to express itself. It's our epigenome expression is what is disease or health. Okay, if there's one gene that's overworking or not switching on and off, this is when then disease can present itself. So we are carrying a lot. So we need to take responsibility for us. If we talk about ancestral healing, it's not about doing all the healing for our ancestors. This is about just simply breaking the pattern, stopping the chain of cycle continuing. So you are literally bringing the light to you, and then that breaks your children free if you have children and your ancestors before you. Okay, and when you do this work, you can feel the gratitude of your ancestors as you do this. But it's not about you being burdened by all of it. Imagine trying to heal thousands of years. This is purely just through an intention to break that pattern and to come back to your natural blueprint, which is what the Daughters of the Golden Rose is what I've been doing and following through with that, which is for 9 women, to really start to reconnect to our DNA and our blueprint of who we are. But, this equally applies to men, especially if you have a lot of gut health issues. You'll be carrying the feminine trauma in your body, predominantly in your gut. Okay, women will carry that through the gut, but also in the womb, in the menstrual health issues. Okay, and gets triggered a lot through perimenopause and menopause. So we are going through huge shifts. Okay, so it's about taking responsibility, discerning what is yours and what is not, and not that classic pattern of taking on too much. Just remember, you are not responsible for anybody else's free will. Say that several times. I'm responsible only for my own free will. And just keep repeating that. And as obvious as that sounds when you say it out loud, it's not necessarily how you're behaving. Okay. So there is then equally people that don't want to take responsibility. Okay. That would rather project their BS onto somebody else who takes the responsibility of everybody else. Can you see where we're going here? There's people like spewing over and someone's just sponging and absorbing it. Neither party is going to be in their sovereignty. Can't do a great deal with the ones that just don't want to do the work and will keep projecting their stuff. But I do sense that the ones that will start taking responsibility only for themselves will become a mirror and deflect that distortion, that projection, that they just don't take it any longer. And so therefore those other people will have to do the work. But this isn't about forcing them to do it or trying to shout until you're blue in the face to get them to see it. This is about purely you influencing through your own work. Okay, we can't influence the outer world until we've done our inner world. So when we look at the big outer world and think, oh my God, this is awful, we can feel helpless and hopeless. This renders us back into victim energy. So again, we have to discern, what can I do? I'm fully conscious and aware of this, and this doesn't feel good. What can I do to shift this? how can I bring more peace into my body to be then this beacon of peace? We have to remember we are very influential, but it's influence through inspiration. This is the big difference, because now I'm going to lead on to leadership, okay? We are all leaders in our own right. Once we start to recognize we are sovereign beings and start taking responsibility and discernment of that. So a lot of leaders that we see in this world and being really shown on center stage is that they take responsibility as power over others. And you can see that. We see that in our governance. We're seeing it in our world. We're seeing it, but you can also see it in your workplace, in your managers, could be a CEO. You also see it with teachers. You also see it with parents. We all suddenly can feel like responsibility can either be a burden and equally also a shift of power. And when we can start to recognize that we are guardians of people else's sovereignty, especially the younger ones, that we are vessels of being able to share that, and we need to start to acknowledge this. It's really important. And again, this is all about discernment. And we will be seeing an unmasking right now. Everything's going to become very clear. So those that are masked, as in aren't I great, and but they're coming from an ego self. They're trying to mask their darkness. That mask will shift. It will be taken off them, and they won't be able to hide their darkness, their shadows. Okay, we all have shadows, but it's the ill intention behind one's actions. So it's more the ill intentions behind the I'm doing something great will be brought to the surface and be seen very equally. The other side of that is those masks of those beautiful beings that don't think they're worthy, that don't think they're good enough. The whole imposter phenomenon will also start coming off. Those masks of hiding oneself, the light of them, of truth, will come through. So the light of truth will bring the shadows to the forefront. It'll also bring the lights of others to come forwards. So this is about courage, being in your heart. We're coming up to Lionsgate. We're in Leo season. This is all about being the courageous part of self to step up into your power, into your light, into your sovereignty and who you are, and lead in equality. This is the feminine energy. This is about leading in equality, being in your power. It's not about powering over anybody. It's about just literally being in your power and your sovereignty. And like I say, that's the inspiration and the influence is coming from that. So, yeah, we are literally rising up in truth, discernment, heart, solar plexus, gut, small intestine is all about realizing our truth on so many levels. And you will see that coming through you physically. And I would love to share that I've had the most beautiful day of women supporting me today on different levels. I've had people helping me looking at my business and supporting each other in collaboration. That was with two ladies. I had another lady that really looked at my business development and was very powerful, strong woman, which really gave me boundaries and clarity of self. It was really powerful. And then I had also someone that gave me acupuncture. That's such a beautiful friend, which interesting for me, has brought up small intestine and the back of my heart, which intuitively was showing me the right atrium, which is all about releasing the deoxygenated blood back into the atrium to actually oxygenate itself. So this is really about cleansing of the blood, bringing oxygen, bringing fuel and energy back into your body, and but from a blood level, from a heart level. So you can see all these layers. You've got the physical, emotional, mental, energetics. We are all these multifaceted layers. Okay, and this is how we heal ourselves, through seeing all these parts of self. Okay. and bringing them together. That's when we bring in wholeness. This is when we remember who we are. And actually, we are already whole, but it's all these belief systems, these patternings that has us blocked from that. So the wholeness and the integrity, the light that we are is already in us. And it's that that's awakening. This is our hearts opening. It's shining this light that's coming through. And so we'll be experiencing, depending on how conscious you are and how much work you're doing, this may feel like a shock. Huge revelations. Revelations can feel great. Other times of like massive wisdom and of self. Other times it can be hugely shocking for people, because if we've been held in something that's been a lie, we'll completely feel like it's disorientated us. So this is about being able to practice as regularly as you can, just being present with yourself, being in your heart, being in your breath, and connecting, grounding. And you can do that through meditation, which you can access through the hub, the Infinity Health Hub. You can do that in your general practice, walking in nature, just taking 5 minutes to just be with yourself and just be present and breathe. Do something that you enjoy, being out in nature, whether it's sea swimming or being cold water swimming, just something where you're really trying to allow yourself to be in your body, whether it's drawing, being creative, singing, dancing, whatever it is, give yourself that permission to be present with yourself. And ideally with something that you enjoy, that then becomes very powerful, strong energy for your heart. Okay. So goes without saying, there's myself as a one-to-one, which both in person and online can support you with this. And I have, like I say, the book. I have my Love to Heal course, which is an online meditation and self-reflection practice of peeling the layers of the BS to really find the true power that you are. It's about looking at your health, looking at your relationships, looking at work, looking at all aspects of your life that affect you as that person, and you as that person as a whole, how that affects everything else then around you, your relationships and your work. You can see it's nothing separate, and that's the biggest illusion that we will be breaking through, is that no one is separate. We are all connected through this web of light. We are all light, lights within ourselves. That is light that keeps us alive. Okay. So when you recognize that, we're all the same. We're all with a fraction of light. Different colors, different rainbows, different unique gifts and everything else, but all come from the same source of light. And it doesn't matter what color skin you are, it doesn't matter what race you are, where you're born, it doesn't matter what sex you are, what age you are. None of that is relevant. All that is about trying to identify us as individuals, our uniqueness, so we can identify one another. That's all this is. It's just a frame to a soul. And so basically, there's a lot going on, and it will all be affecting us differently, but in our own same way, if you know what I mean. So we're all going through this revelation, this discernment, this truth that's uprising. It's like a massive spring of white light that's just coming, rising up from the earth. You know, she's tolerating no shit anymore, and truth is being seen, and nothing can hide if it's not in integrity and authenticity and from the heart. So we're all going through this, and we need to start taking responsibility for ourselves only. Okay, compassion for others that don't, so we don't get too angry, but equally allow ourselves to be angry, because that's self-worth. So there's no common easy practice, but the best thing you can do is try and be regularly present with yourself. And when you're triggered, just be able to try and do the understanding of why that is. This is why I've created all these different ways of content that could hopefully, well, support you in ways to get through this and become the sovereign, empowered beings that we are, and start living in alignment and truth. So lots of love, and go steady on yourself and rest. It is holiday season. Take the rest. Less is more. Let your nervous system rest, because you won't be able to do this discernment if your body's wired and stressed. So you need your vagus nerve nice and relaxed. And that will help keep you in this, what we call the parasympathetic, that resting, that healing. That's when the small intestine can do its work. And I'll give you one little tip as well with the small intestine is don't snack. You need to give it 3 hours of rest, of no food, to enable it to do the cleanup exercise, okay? Because as soon as you start to eat again, it stops cleaning up and goes back into digestion mode. So give yourself good space in between your food and eat good, healthy, clean food, okay? And regularly, I feel is the key, just so your body knows it doesn't drop into any stress. That's especially important for women going through the beautiful shift of menopause. We don't want to be adding any more cortisol into our system, because then we just put on weight, which is really annoying. Anyway, lots of love. Enough is said. And like I say, reach out to me, go to the infinityhealthhub.com, go and look at Love to Heal on there as well. The online course, you can buy the book as well, which is on Amazon. And or come to me, my one-to-one work, where I just really hold a safe space for you to let go of all these belief systems in such a very graceful way. Okay? Big love and take care.